Impact segment tonight, new CNN poll says just 44% of Americans now think President Obama should be reelected in 2012. And while the president has plenty of time to turn that around, there's no question he's in political trouble. Joining us now from our studio in New York City, Dr. Marc Lamont, who teaches at Columbia University. So, doctor, what is the president's main problem today? What is his main problem?
Well, actually, I think there are two main problems. The first one is the obvious one. Is jobs. People don't have jobs. Unemployment is high. We're not producing jobs. We're not creating jobs. And you're never going to have a satisfied American public if people are unemployed or underemployed or have even given up working. It's just not going to happen. The other problem is that Obama doesn't have an energized base anymore. Right now, the people who most, celebrated him during the primaries and during the general election and early in his presidency are no longer excited. Afghanistan, a lack of push on LGBT stuff, gay rights, a lack of push on many domestic policy issues. The lack of push on those issues has made his base really disappointed, and so he has no one really behind him right now.
Well, even say his base, say that's true, that the base is not jazz as it was. The base really doesn't have much influence on the country during a term. It has in a campaign, but during the term, it's basically the people watching, and in a very short period of time, they have gone from liking what President Obama was doing in office to not liking it. And I agree with the jobs are big, but I think it's a perception. I think that the perception among non-ideological Americans, not conservative or liberal, but the independents and the people in the middle, are basically that he's not managing the White House very well. He's not managing the country very well. He's not making his case. Healthcare hurt him dramatically. Nobody could figure out what he was saying.
Absolutely.
Am I wrong?
No, I think healthcare was the biggest issue. I think the Obama administration was tone deaf in the summertime. People dismissed the Tea Parties. There's plenty to critique the Tea Parties for. But what the Obama administration missed about the Tea Parties was that the American people weren't responding to his policies or to Congress's policies. He didn't take enough leadership on healthcare, and as a result, the cart got away from him, and he's been trying to catch up ever since, and it's been almost impossible.
It has, and I don't see how he's going to turn it around without some major event.
Oh, he can turn it around.
Now, yesterday, we said that Governor Schwarzenegger out here came in the same way that President Obama came in. Outsider, charismatic guy, 65% approval rating, almost exactly what President Obama came in. He now is down at 27%. They can't get rid of him fast enough out here.
Yeah.
And I think that if Barack Obama doesn't think it could happen to him, it certainly could.
Could it happen to him? Absolutely. But he could turn out to be Schwarzenegger, or he could turn out to be a different governor of California. He could turn out to be Ronald Reagan. He could have jobs turn around. He could have national security issues become much more positive. And in fact, the American people could rally behind him in 2012 and even in 2011 if jobs continue to pick up. Job creation is the key here. He could be Schwarzenegger, but it's far from inevitable.
All right, so you believe that even with the massive spending on tap, now remember, that drives the Tea Party people, it drives disenchantment that, hey, we don't want to be a third world debtor nation here, and Barack Obama is committed in 2010 to spending an enormous amount of money and probably going out from there unless he loses control of Congress, which he may. So you believe that even if he turns the job thing around, running up the massive debt's not going to hurt him? See, I think he's got to stop the spending.
There's a sector of voters who are going to be upset with his spending patterns, absolutely. But there are many of us who think that those certain types of expenditures are absolutely necessary, particularly for addressing domestic issues. The other thing to think about with Barack Obama is that right now the American people are gauging him only against himself. When you start talking about re-election, it's not just do you want Barack Obama to get another term, it's do you want Barack Obama or Sarah Palin or Mike Huckabee or Mitt Romney or whoever his opponent may be. And I think the American people ultimately will be satisfied with Barack Obama if the job situation is addressed.
Okay. It does matter who his opponent is to some extent.
It could be you.
But I'll tell you what, I haven't seen any president be in this much trouble this quickly in my lifetime. I mean,
you didn't consider
really in trouble.
Yeah, but Bill, Ronald Reagan, again, was in trouble after his
Yeah, but it wasn't. But Reagan's problem was that the country wasn't responding quick enough from the Carter disaster. That, it wasn't that Reagan was running up a huge debt or that Reagan wasn't managing well or that, he had all these radicals around him. I mean, do you think it does any good for
first of all, that's not true.
To have guys around him like Nancy Pelosi and Harry Reid? Do you think that does him any good?
Well, first of all, Ronald Reagan did have radicals around him. He had right-wing radicals around him. Bill Bennett was the Secretary of Education. There's no one more absurdly radical than him. So certainly he had extremists on his side.
It wasn't perceived that way by the public.
Oh, it was perceived that way.
Was not
perceived that way by the left, the way this is being perceived that way by
the left. I mean, but come on, I don't think Bennett's a radical. rightist.
And Obama's people are being seen as extremists by the right. The other issue is that the same way you're saying
by the center too.
The same way you're saying that Ronald Reagan was responding to Carter's mistakes, that's the exact same argument the Obama administration has been making about Bush. That's what he started his State of the Union.
But Reagan didn't make the argument. Reagan didn't make the argument.
It doesn't
blame
matter.
Carter.
No, but you are. We're not talking about whether or not what the rhetorical tactic is. We're talking about what the reality is. And the reality here is that Barack Obama does have to respond to 8 years of Bush policy. Everything's not Bush's fault, but some of it is, and Barack Obama's addressing that right now.
But all the polls show the public's not buying that anymore. They say you've been in for a year. We want to see a better managed White House, and if you don't do it, we're going to boot you.
And they absolutely should.
Okay.
And I think you'll see that next year.
Fair enough. All right, Doc.